Hey guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to be doing a quick review of Christopher Nolan's 2023 film, Oppenheimer. I actually saw this film about 2 weeks ago now, but this review was something that I wanted to do and I felt like I probably should do after I was putting up videos reacting to its trailers. So I think overall for me personally, I would say that I was a bit disappointed with this film. I'll get into some spoiler specifics in a little bit, but I think overall I had built up this expectation and idea of what I thought another Nolan film was going to be. And I think this film, in quite a lot of ways, is quite subversive when you compare it to the rest of his other filmography. It's a very dialogue-heavy film. It's very slow-paced. There's not really, I would say, huge action set pieces compared to his earlier work. And for me personally as well, maybe this is a fault in me as a film viewer, but acting performances don't really get me out of my seat and make me love a film. For me, they're almost like the cherry on top, and please forgive me because I'm sure that would be quite insulting for a lot of actors. I don't mean any disrespect towards them. I think for some reason, just me as a film viewer, the things that resonate with me more, the script and the story. And personally, this didn't quite hit for me. I think maybe my main issue overall with this film is that I didn't really feel anything strong in terms of emotion for the characters or the events in the film until maybe the very last scene. I think there was one specific scene. I'll get into spoilers now. It was the final scene with Einstein, that one, and the montage, that gave me shivers down my spine. I thought that was brilliant. And also the testing of the bomb scene and the aftermath, that definitely struck an emotional chord with me. But there were large chunks of the film where I found it quite difficult to really empathize or feel connected to the main character. I think especially some of the romantic relationships, I don't know, I found it hard to understand them. The last third of the movie really felt like it dragged on for me. I guess the stakes were, is Oppenheimer going to lose his security clearance? And I couldn't really care, to be honest. I know that sounds harsh, but there didn't really seem enough in the film for me to care deeply about him or his battle with Strauss. The film is sort of allowing its viewer to make up their mind whether you see him as a hero or as a villain. But for me, I didn't quite feel attached to either of those things. At the same time though, I think I could just be a victim of the expectations that I had coming into this film. I wanted to love this film. I wanted to give it 5 stars, but for me, it just didn't quite strike that emotional chord that I feel like for me to give a film a really high rating, it needs to really resonate with me on an emotional level, which I don't feel like this film did. I've spoken a lot of negatives here, which people will probably be surprised to see my actual star rating for this film. Despite what I just said about acting, I think all the performances in here were terrific. Cillian Murphy is incredible, 100% deserves an Oscar nomination for this. Robert Downey Jr. as well, brilliant. Florence Pugh, fantastic. Emily Blunt, great as well. It was more that through the filmmaking, the script, I felt like I didn't connect with their characters, but it wasn't through any fault in the acting or the acting choices. I think that was brilliant. I do wonder if Nolan's refusal to use CGI, which I'd normally be on board for as a big sort of film nerdy kind of guy, I do wonder if that hindered the film a little bit. I think I'm very used to going to a Nolan film and expecting there to be some sort of gimmick that, you know, draws you in. But I'm not sure that, for me, that gimmick of, oh, there's no CGI shots in this, really felt like it had an impact on my viewing experience. I almost felt like the trailers gave away pretty much all of the practical visual effects work that they've done that is absolutely fantastic. But there wasn't much more than what was shown in the trailers. I think I found that a bit disappointing because I was hoping that I was going to see some more amazing, visually stunning shots created without CGI. But after watching the trailer quite a few times, going into the film, yeah, it probably felt like I'd already seen a lot of the most visually interesting shots that were in this film, in my humble opinion. I also do wonder whether this needed an IMAX release or needed to be shot on IMAX. I think it's a great decision to shoot on film. I think it adds texture, it adds soul to a film, but I'm just not sure that the spectacle in this film is deserving of the IMAX format. Again, that might be a controversial thing to say. I did listen to the cinematographer speaking about how the human face is another form of like a landscape that deserved to be captured through the lens of IMAX cameras. I'm not 100% sure of that. I watched this in 70mm at the Astor Theatre. To be completely honest, I'm not sure I'm rushing out to see this again at IMAX, which is disappointing because my plan was to see this movie twice in cinemas, but I don't really feel the desire to go and spend $45 to go and see this in IMAX. Back on a positive, I think the score is phenomenal. The score is amazing. I've been listening to it quite a lot. You know, it's great working music, but it's got so much depth and creativity. And to be honest, I was a bit of a doubter of Ludwig, the composer. I wasn't too impressed with the score for Tenet, even though it had some quite interesting and clever things in it. It did kind of annoy me a bit how all the tracks were named in all capital letters. That kind of just felt a bit pretentious to me, but I think Ludwig has smashed it out of the park for Oppenheimer. Like, especially Can You Hear the Music? That track is iconic and really up there with the score of Dunkirk, the score of Interstellar, and those are probably my favorite film scores of all time. So kudos to Ludwig. I think that was absolutely fantastic. So overall, I still did enjoy parts of this film. There were parts where I did feel the tension building up. I thought it was quite clever in some of the ways that it explored the character dynamics. It set up a few things for payoff at the end. The parts with Einstein were great. The final scene was bone-chilling and just absolutely fantastic. I love that final scene so much. And it almost bumps half a star or a star into my rating just because of how effective I thought it was. So yeah, I think this review has focused on a lot of negative elements that I didn't like. I think there are a lot of reviews out there that are speaking about the positive parts of this, and they probably speak best. I do agree with quite a lot of what they say, and I think this film will be deserving of a rewatch for me in future, and I think where I detach my expectations a bit and go into it knowing what it actually is, maybe I will find more ways to enjoy this film and my rating could increase. So overall, I'm going to give Oppenheimer a 3.5 out of 5. There's parts of it that I liked, there's elements that disappointed me. Overall, I think it's a good film. I'm really glad that it does exist. I think it potentially offers value on rewatch, especially with a greater understanding of some of the historical events that it is depicting. That's something that I'd like to research before watching this film again. And I think it's great that people are going to the cinema and they're loving this film and it's doing well at the box office. I think that's fantastic. I think maybe some of the way that I interpreted the film or felt about it are maybe me problems. They're not film problems, perhaps. But I'd love to hear what you guys think, so please let me know in the comments below, or we can continue the discussion in the comments thread on my Letterboxd, which you can also follow, link in description. So if you've watched this far, I just want to say thank you so much for listening to me ramble. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you at the cinemas.